You look fine, but you're not fine. And that's exactly what we're here to talk about. Welcome to Fine But Not Fine, the podcast about navigating rare disease, healthcare battles, and the messy reality of chronic illness. I'm Kelly Paul, and I've been living with mycosis fungoides since 2015. This is a space for real talk, real experiences, and practical advice. Because surviving is one thing, but figuring out how to actually live, that's the hard part. Hello, everyone. I want to give you all fair warning. Today's episode does not have a neat takeaway. There is no advice list and really no silver lining. So today was just hard, and I want to talk about it with y'all. Not because something catastrophic happened, unfortunately, but because something really shifted, and I felt it in my core before I could even give it enough thought to name it. And that's because this morning I got scared. And not in a dramatic emergency kind of way, but in one of those quiet, lingering ways that stick with you well into the evening, and I suspect is going to stick with me into the coming days. So let me set the scene for you. It is Monday morning, and I have already had a couple of these this year, okay? I am back to the in-office lightbox treatments instead of at home. And it's not because I want to be, but with the global shortage of the medication I should be on and other common treatments causing my liver numbers to rise, I'm doing in-office light treatment as a stopgap while we work to identify the next steps in my treatment. So this isn't a new diagnosis chaos. What this is a long-term cancer management reality. Now, I'm a planner, no surprise there. So I currently build my schedule around my treatments, which are 3 times a week. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I plan very carefully. I adjust my schedule. I work additional time. I do all the things you learn to do when you're managing a chronic illness and still trying to have a professional life. And then work intrudes. A client issue comes up, a real issue, an important issue. They text me, they call me, and I'm going to be clear here, they are not wrong for reaching out to me. I respond, I let them know the team is on it, I'm heading into an appointment. And the texts and calls keep coming. And suddenly I'm driving to treatment, getting treatment, driving back, and I cannot engage the way the moment demands. And it is not because I don't care. And it's not because I'm bad at what I do. It's not because I'm avoiding responsibility. It's because I physically and cognitively could not do both things safely. And that's when it hit me. This was the first time in 10 years, where my cancer and its treatment really interfered with my job. Now, I have had flares, I have had exhaustion, I have had really bad days, but I have always been able to keep work and illness in separate lanes. And today, well, those lanes merged. Nothing blew up. Nobody yelled. The issue got handled. The team stepped in and did what they do. But inside me, holy cow, something has cracked open. I think part of why this hit so hard is because I have spent years being the low-maintenance employee. I am the one who is really open about my illness, and I do not make it a problem. I plan around it. I'm the one who says it's fine. I've got it. It's no big deal, right? And I guess for a long time that felt like strength. But today made me realize something pretty uncomfortable. When you spend years proving that your illness does not interfere with work, you quietly train everyone, including yourself, to believe it never will. And then it does. And to me, it really, really feels like failure, even though I logically know it is not. And I have absorbed a lot over the years: appointments, fatigue, side effect, fears, and I have pretty well contained it. I've managed it fairly quietly, other than sharing it with you all here. And today, well, it wasn't about being incapable. It was about reaching the edge of what I could absorb. So here is what hit me today. What changed wasn't my commitment to my job. It was my capacity in that moment. And these are not the same thing, but I think we kind of treat them like they are. I was still committed. I still cared. I still wanted to be fully engaged, but my capacity was limited by very real, very physical circumstances, and that distinction matters. The lack of capacity is not a lack of dedication. It's not a lack of professionalism. It's not a lack of care. But emotionally, holy cow, it sure felt exactly like that. And then for me, there's the age part. I am not at the beginning of my career, and I am not close to retirement. I like the work I do, and like most of us, I need to work. So my brain started doing what it always does, right? It starts running the math in my head. If perception changes, does my security change? And if my security changes, what happens to my job? And if I lose or have to step away from my job, what happens to my health insurance? And if I lose my health insurance, everything changes. Now, to be absolutely clear, none of this is happening. My employer wouldn't do that. There's no indication I'm at risk. But the fact that my mind went there tells me how high the stakes are. And I don't think that people without a chronic illness realize how quickly a normal workday can turn into a life or death calculation. Health insurance isn't a benefit. I mean, it is, but it's survival here, at least in the US, especially when an employer is paying 2/3 of the premium. I guess really what I realized today is that I crossed an invisible line I did not think I would cross. I've always told myself that really my illness hasn't affected my job, but today reminded me that what I really meant was that until now, I've been able to contain the impact. And containment takes energy and planning and margin. And sometimes the margin disappears, and that is terrifying. But my nervous system didn't get the memo. My adrenaline dropped, my body replayed the moment, my mind kept scanning for what I might have missed, and that's the part that people don't see, the part where nothing is actively happening but your body is still braced. I was no longer problem solving, I was processing what it meant, and that takes much longer than the actual event. The reality is that no one failed today. Not me, not the client, not our team. The system worked, really. But emotionally, it shook me. Because it reminded me that my health, my job, my age, and my future are really tightly braided together, and there just is not much slack. Today reminded me that being fine does not mean being unaffected. Sometimes being fine just means you showed up, you handled what you could, and you carried a whole lot of quiet fear while doing it. If today was hard for you too, I'm sorry I don't have answers. I'm just sitting in it as well, and maybe that's enough for tonight. Thanks for listening to Fine But Not Fine. If this episode resonated with you, subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And if you got a story, question, or just need to vent, reach out. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, take care and keep on going.